run through a couple of other bits and pieces. Player of the year, lads. What we saying?
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to reel in the ears with this one. I think
Ooh.
if he stays fit, and we've all agreed that Derry are going to make a push for it this year. Unfortunately, we don't all agree that they're going to actually win the league. But I think if he stays fit, for me, the best player in the league quite well could be Michael Duffy. I think he's been a phenomenal player for a long time. And if we could get one more year out of him where he really, really hits the heights and is at his best, I think then that could end up making the difference. That would be huge for Derry if they can keep him fit and if they can get him in top form and playing to the quality and the standard that we used to see from him at Dundalk.
I'll raise to you, Jack Byrne. I think,
They're similar in that, like, keeping them fit regard, isn't it, as well? They're kind of both,
yeah,
they can keep both, like, it could be a huge determining factor in the title race itself as well, those two players.
yeah. I think like Jack's the best player I've ever seen in the league. You know, Duffy's up there as well. In fairness,
You never
but
watched Shells in the early 2000s, did you?
no, I was
Let
too
me
busy.
introduce you to the
I
great
was too
Joey and
busy in the
Joe.
first division. So I was too busy in the first division.
Yeah.
Now, I go with I go with Jack. I know he's in the team of the year last year and so on. Don't think he got the credit that he deserved last year either. I think he got the most assists in the league again, but kind of went under the radar. So I think he's going to come back this year with a bit of bite to him and, a bit of something to, stick up to a few people and so on. So I'm going to go with Jack.
Yeah, interesting. I've actually obviously gone with Derry win the league. Had to go with a Derry man, and I've gone for Michael Duffy as well. I agree with Con. Think he could have a big year this season. Obviously, he get a bad injury as soon as he signed for Derry. I think he might have broke his leg. Started to come back last year, and I think obviously a full preseason behind him. He got a lot of game time in towards the end of last season as well. I think this could be his year, and if he can guide Derry to a league title, he probably could go down as one of the best League of Ireland players of all time. If he probably does already, but if he can do that, definitely a case for him in that mix. So yeah, I've gone for Michael Duffy as well. Young player of the year, as who have you gone for?
I'm split between two. So I am. Now, I don't know what qualifies as young player of the year. Under 24, is it? Or what we thinking?
Probably 22, 23. I would have had in my head maybe. Why?
So
Who did you have? That just fill us in. We can make it.
I have two. I have two players, and you're gonna like the two of them. Well, you're gonna like one definitely. Either Matty Smith or Colin Whelan.
Is Matty Smith the one on the edge? He's 24.
Yeah, well, but I think both are. To be
Yeah.
fair,
Colin Whelan's 21. Is he 2021? I think
22, 20. He's lingering around 22, 23.
maybe. Yeah,
So
yeah.
he is. Well, I mentioned about Whelan before. He's a striker. He's a young striker that has, if you see him play, he's a lot of experience under his belt, as like it would look at. But I think in that Derry team, I think he's just gonna, I think he's gonna light it up as well for them. I have just going real quick. I have McGonigal as my top scorer as well, but that's Whelan as well. I rate him so highly.
Con, who have you gone for?
I was thinking Colin Whelan as well. I think, as Adam touched on there, he fired UCD to promotion in the first division. He was absolutely sublime. He's got a big move to a team that will give him the service, that will create the chances, that will give him the opportunity to prove himself. And I think he'll grab that opportunity with both hands. I think he'll score a bag full of goals. And he will be definitely my tip for young player of the year.
Yeah, yeah. Good shouts, lads. I've gone for young Johnny Kenny on loan from Celtic at Shamrock Rovers. I think he is obviously an outrageous talent. He broke into the Sligo side at 18, 17, 18 kind of time. And yeah, really impressing. He scored double figures nearly before earning his move across the pond. Obviously, hasn't worked out too well from over there, but I think coming back, I think he has the right attitude. He's a good lad. He's been on the channel before, really nice fella. And I think I think Rovers will really look after him. And I think he's a versatile forward as well. So he can play through the centre, he can play off to the right, off to the left. So I think that will be beneficial in terms of his game time. Colin Whelan definitely is up there, but it factors into my top goal scorer shout as well. I'm not 100% sure who I'm going for, but the fact McGonigal is there and Whelan is there is it kind of affect Whelan's game time potentially at times. That would be my only kind of doubt there. And it's obviously a doubt with Kenny as well. He's not a guaranteed starter with the quality that Rovers have in their side. But yeah, for me, I think just due to his versatility, his age, and I think he has a point to prove after maybe not having a great loan spell. I think he was with Queen of the South or something from Celtic and it didn't work out too well. So I think he's a point to prove as well coming back to Ireland. So yeah, for me, I've gone for Mr. Johnny Kenny.
He's had a very good preseason as well, in fairness to him. I think
Yeah,
he
he
scored
scored a
in
few.
most games and he looks like that. He looks a bit lively as well, and you know, kind of similar to Will, and he wants to get at players and so on, has that bit of bite. So no, that's a good shout.
Yeah, I think he's hungry to get going. Yeah, top goal scorer. I'll continue on just in that regard. The point that I was making there about it. This has been a really, really tough one for me because I'm not all the top teams. I'm not sure who their guaranteed striker is. Obviously, Gaffney, you'd imagine, is Rovers' starting striker. But then you have your Johnny Kennys, you have your Graham Burks who might slot in. Liam Burt's come in there. Like, will it affect Gaffney's game time? Probably not, but it's a really tough one to know. Obviously, at Derry, then you've McGonigal and Colin Whelan. At Pats, you've Owen Doyle and you've young Tommy Lonergan coming in as well. He'll be looking to get an awful lot of game time under his belt. So it's a really, really tough one. I'm very tempted to say Sean Boyd just due to the fact they'll be playing week in, week out. I had them fifth in the league
I mean,
on
he
pens,
scored how many last year? 12 or 15?
something like that.
And,
I
and
think,
and like that, he's a real focal point in that Chelsea attack.
yeah,
You know, in a
I think
way that, as you touched on, Rovers have quite a few players in that position. Derry will have a couple of players chipping in, whereas the Shells attack, and I know there's Matty Smith is a great player there. Jack Moylan is a very good attacking player. Shane Farrell on the wing as well, although he kind of was playing more of a defensive role towards the end of the season. Shells will have a couple of players chip in, but I think Sean Boyd is going to score a greater. Like you touched on there, Aidan Kane has scored 50% of Sligo goals last year. I think Sean Boyd could really be looking at that sort of territory for Shells.
yeah.
He will. I'd fancy him as a dark horse. I think for top scorer as well.
Yeah. I'm
Even
tempted to
if not
go
the
with the
favourite.
dark horse shout because I think everyone else is going to be, there might be an element of rotation. I think, as you said, Boyd is such a focal point of the team. He's a target man. He offers something different to anything else that Shells have in there. And I think he will start pretty much week in, week out. I expect Shells to have a good season. Tariq Wilson whipping the ball in from the left. I said Shane Farrell from the right, Moylan and Matty Smith creating chances. He's on penalties. I'm going for Sean Boyd. Cut back fire completely, but we'll see.
Another occasion where I hope you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Will his goals match the yellow cards he got this season again, or what?
Listen, if he gets 15 yellows and 15 goals, I'll take it. I'll take it.
That's the problem with him. He stays fit, but it's a question of
Suspensions.
suspensions. Yeah,
Yeah,
the couple of games he misses.
that's
It
the
is.
problem.
He
Yeah.
picked up a ridiculous amount of yellow cards last year. There was games you were looking at. Some of the yellows he picked up were just for stupid stuff. You know,
Yeah.
really, really stupid stuff. I mean, if Dover can have a word in the air and try and get him to clean up that side of his game,
Yeah.
you know,
But he has
Matty
an edge
Kane.
as well, which you don't want to lose as well. I thought, he has that bit of kind of
Oh,
character.
Yeah, fact.
that's true as well.
But you don't know how much to like rein him in. Yeah, obviously, I think hopefully he's getting kind of 24, 25 now, so he's a little bit older and he'll have that full year of experience behind him as well. So hopefully he has lost that kind of silly yellow card side of his game. But we shall see.
Did he fix the hole in the dugout at Shells that time?
He got replaced anyway. I don't know if he was the one who he probably came out of his wages and say.
I hope so.
I wouldn't mind. We had a new dugout last year as well.
One of the best things I've ever seen, like in a League of Ireland game, was iconic. Right behind it.
You were there, were you? At the
Yeah,
match?
I was there. I was bored one Friday. I think Rovers weren't playing. I think we were in Europe. I went with one of the lads, and then we were right behind that. And just next thing, just the hole coming through the dugout. We were like, Jesus Christ.
Brilliant. Who have you gone for as yourself for top goal scorer?
Like that. It's either McGonigal or Whelan again.
Yeah.
However, I think with the top teams, I think there's so much quality within the top teams all around, not just going forward. I think the goals are spread anyway. But I think this year, Derry will try make more of a focal point up front and like maybe play off McGonigal or Whelan, whoever it is. So I'm gonna go with McGonigal for that.
It's hard to turn me back on Sean Boyd now after that conversation.
You've been convinced.
The other candidates for me, I mean, look, Colin Whelan has to be one of the favourites, but I think Rory Gaffney is a serious candidate for that as well. As you say, in spite of all the talent they do have, he is still probably going to be their number one striker week in, week out. The only thing that might affect his game time as well, I suppose, is rotation for Europe's purposes. Will they be resting their star players either side of European games, and depending, of course, how far they actually get in Europe.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, Whelan, Gaffney, and then the dark horse of Sean Boyd. I think if you put a gun to me head, I'd probably say Rory Gaffney.
FAI Cup winners, lads. We'll go back to you, Con. Who do you fancy for the cup this year?
I think not to be too boring and repetitive here, but I think we'll see Derry win it again. I think they're too good to win nothing, and given that I've said they'll miss out on the league, I think we'll give them the cup again this year.
I'm going with a Rovers Bows final. I'm going to have
Ooh,
Rovers winner. So I
break
am.
their hearts and their
I
big.
think I think Bows will want to get into that winning conversation, and the only way they'll do it is through the cup.
Yeah,
I
You
think they
know,
will struggle in the league, but like that, they'll. I think it was the same. Probably was the same with Chelsea a bit last year. You know, they felt they could push on the cup, and they did. In fairness, I think Bows will similar to that. They'll get it, and we'll get our full house in the Aviva for that, and then we'll beat Bows about 3 or 4 nothing.
I know I don't. I said I didn't enjoy particularly the FAI Cup final last year, but at least I went into it with the hope I could enjoy the build up. I mean, you're really describing a nightmare scenario here.
I think it's about time it happens. Sell out the Aviva and
I think that sells
have
out the
Rovers
Aviva.
win. It'd be the biggest attendance ever. Like
Yeah,
what was the previous when it was 38 with Bows and Pats?
yeah, something like that. I think. Yeah.
I think this one easily 45,000 and upwards
What's the
if it's
max
Rovers or
capacity again?
Bows.
Is it 50 or something?
50 or 52
50,
or something along those
52,
lines.
It could,
or
it
something.
definitely, like a Dublin derby should sell out the Aviva. Like, there's just no, in a cup
It would
final.
be a huge occasion. But the other thing to consider as well, to be fair, is certain clubs bring big crowds. Sligo always brought great crowds when
Yeah.
they were in cup finals. Derry brought us a fantastic crowd last year. Now, whether that would be repeated when it was their second on the bounce, the first in a long time always means that bit more. But
Yeah.
certain clubs have a big following. You know, when you look at those kind of big city teams, town teams, where they are the only club with a big catchment area like Derry and Sligo, it you do get a big following for the big day out that is the cup final. So I think you could end up seeing records continue to be broken. You'd hope to see the crowd at that cup final grow year on year until we're seeing sellouts regularly. I don't think Bows and Rovers is the only fixture that would bring a record crowd there.
Yeah, for me, in terms of the FAI Cup, I think as boring as it is, it's going to be one of those top two. I think that's obviously the safe where the safe money lies. Derry and Rovers, depends when they play each other. Obviously, they can play each other. I think they played semi final last year, wasn't it? And yeah, this year, if I think it's gonna be one of the two. And I think just missing out on the league title, but I think they will rectify that by winning the FAI Cup. I think Rovers will go on to win the FAI Cup. I think it's a safe money, isn't it, to go with one of the two? It's hard to pick outside of that, I think.
Yeah, fact. I don't think I think it's if one of the teams falls behind the league, they'll put extra emphasis on the cup and so on, and they'll do their best to win that. Sure, it happened with us and Dundalk back in 2019, and then it was the opposite the following year. I think we won the league, but then Dundalk fell a bit behind, so then just pushed on for the cup and so on. So it's going to be hard to tell because it's going to be so tight going into it.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a cup final, but at the same time Rovers and Derry are neck and neck for the league. If there's 1 or 2 points between them, it's going to be an absolute disaster few weeks for being a fan of either team. It's going to be heart wrenching. You're not going to be able to look at it, but I think that's what makes it exciting for a neutral. And
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Lads, an absolute pleasure as always. Make sure to drop a like on the video if you did enjoy and be sure to subscribe as well. Plenty more where this came from. And yeah, buzzing for Friday evening. Have a good one, guys.